We're all pretty obsessed with disruption and overnight success. But what if the path to true greatness is, well, quieter, slower? Good to Great makes the case that building something that lasts isn't about one single brilliant idea. Nope, it's about a disciplined, deliberate climb. And this really isn't just a business book. It's a blueprint for enduring excellence.
So this all started when Jim Collins and his team went on this, incredible 5-year research odyssey. And it was all to answer one deceptively simple question that basically every leader asks. Can a truly good company become a truly great one? And, if it's even possible, how in the world is it done?
So, in this explainer, we're going to follow their journey. We'll start with the sheer scale of their quest for greatness. Then, we'll dive into the secrets they found, from putting the right leaders in place before even deciding on a direction, to confronting harsh realities, building a culture of discipline, and then harnessing the unstoppable momentum of what Collins calls the flywheel. And we'll wrap up with the most powerful idea of all, that greatness is in fact a conscious choice.
Okay, so let's start right where they did, the research. And look, when I say their methodology was exhaustive, we're talking about something on a completely different level.
The team kicked things off with this massive list, right? 1,435 companies.
And then they just meticulously screened all of them, analyzing 40 years of financial data. The thing is, they didn't just look for success. They used comparison companies to isolate the exact variables that made the truly great ones so unique.
Okay, so after all of that intense analysis, how many do you think made the cut? Just 11. That's it. Only 11 companies truly made that leap from good to great and actually sustained it. And the most fascinating part, their success wasn't because of luck or being in the right industry or even having some larger-than-life CEO. It was a set of timeless principles that really anyone can learn.
And the very first principle they uncovered, the one that's the foundation for everything else, it starts with the people. Specifically, a unique kind of leader they called a level 5 leader.
And this visual perfectly captures the core paradox of these leaders. On one hand, they are fiercely determined, with an almost stoic will to succeed. But on the other hand, they are deeply humble. Think about that for a second. They shun the spotlight, they're quick to credit others for success, and they're the first to take personal responsibility for any failure. All of their ambition is poured into the company, not into making themselves famous.
Yeah, the book puts it perfectly with this window and mirror analogy. When things are going well, these level 5 leaders look out the window to give credit to everyone else. But when things go poorly, they look straight in the mirror and take full responsibility. And that level 5 mindset, it extends to building the entire team. And that leads to the next core principle, first who, then what. This is huge. It means before you figure out the strategy, the vision, or even where the bus is going, you first have to obsess over getting the right people on the bus and, just as importantly, getting the wrong people off of it.
So why is this so important? Well, think about it. Your strategy might have to change tomorrow, but a person's character and work ethic, that's foundational. The right people, they don't need to be managed. They're self-motivated and self-disciplined. And when you have a bus full of the right people, you can have these intense, vigorous debates about the best path forward, but in the end, everyone unifies behind the final decision.
Okay, so you've got the right people on the bus. Now what? How do you figure out where to even go? This is where the company's mindset becomes absolutely critical. It's a two-part process. First, you have to brutally confront reality, and then you have to find profound simplicity.
So that first part is captured in what's known as the Stockdale Paradox, named after Admiral Jim Stockdale, who was a prisoner of war. It's really a lesson in resilience. You absolutely must confront the most brutal, harsh realities of your current situation, while at the exact same time maintaining an unwavering faith that you will prevail in the end. It's not blind optimism, it's grounded faith. And what about simplicity? Well, that comes from the brilliant Hedgehog Concept. The idea is to find the one single thing your company does best. And it's found right at the intersection of these 3 circles. What can you be the absolute best in the world at? What drives your economic engine? And what are you deeply passionate about? When you find that intersection, that's your Hedgehog Concept. It becomes the simple, powerful filter for every single decision you make.
Okay, now this is where it all really starts to click together. Having the right people and a simple, clear hedgehog concept allows you to build what's called a culture of discipline. And listen, this isn't about being restrictive. It's actually about creating incredible freedom within a framework. I want you to think of it this way. Discipline here isn't about some top-down tyrant enforcing rules. No, it's cultural.
It's about having self-disciplined people who just don't need to be managed. And this allows companies to get rid of all that bureaucracy and replace it with a culture of self-governance. And the result? You get relentless focus without anyone needing to be micromanaged.
This discipline is especially crucial when it comes to technology. And here's a key takeaway from the book. Technology is an accelerator, not a creator of greatness. Good to great companies just ignore the hype and the fads. They only adopt a new technology if it serves their hedgehog concept, using it to push their momentum forward, but never to create it from scratch.
And that whole idea of building momentum, well, it brings us to maybe the single most powerful metaphor in the entire book, the unstoppable flywheel. This is how all these pieces come together to create a true breakthrough.
I want you to picture a massive, heavy flywheel. Getting it to move takes an incredible amount of effort. That first push, it barely even nudges it. But you keep pushing. Every disciplined decision, getting the right people, sticking to your hedgehog, making smart choices, that's another push. It moves a little faster, then faster, until the momentum becomes so powerful that a breakthrough is basically inevitable. There's no single miracle moment, just the cumulative effect of consistent, focused effort.
Now, the exact opposite of the flywheel is what Collins calls the doom loop. And this is where most companies, frankly, live. They react without understanding, they launch flashy new programs, they get disappointing results, and then they just pivot to another new direction, never building any real self-reinforcing momentum.
So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? I mean, why should this matter to you? Because the research proves that greatness isn't some accident. It's a conscious choice. And these principles apply far, far beyond the corporate boardroom.
You know, what makes this book so timeless is that it's really a universal toolkit for building pretty much anything that lasts. Whether you're in a startup trying to find your focus, a nonprofit that wants to put impact ahead of ego, or heck, even just an individual trying to build a great life, these principles absolutely apply.
It all comes back to this one single, powerful idea. Greatness is not a function of circumstance. Greatness, it turns out, is largely a matter of conscious choice. It's a direct challenge to all of us to reject the idea that good is good enough.
So, in the end, good to great doesn't offer a magic formula or a quick fix. It offers something much more valuable, a roadmap. It's a quiet revolution built on humility, discipline, and clarity. In a world that is obsessed with the next big disruption, it's a powerful reminder that true, lasting greatness is always a choice. A slow, deliberate climb that starts not with the answer, but with getting the right people on board to find it with you.